The movie begins at a poultry farm in America, where the chickens have been infected with a strange virus. Unbeknownst to the people there, these chickens are processed into nuggets, which are then distributed to schools across America, where children eat them during lunch break. During a break at school, a girl named Ellie eats one of these nuggets, and we see strange worms emerging from it. The scene then shifts to a young man named Clint. Although he is focused on his novel, he is in need of a job due to financial constraints. Consequently, he takes up a teaching position at an elementary school. He was diligently working on his novel, but owing to financial constraints, he found himself in need of employment. Consequently, he accepted a position at an elementary school as a teacher. The school was rather peculiar. The teachers, rules, and children were all mischievous and unruly. He couldn't find any teacher he could converse with except for Lucy, who happened to be his childhood friend. They both had attended the same school and were genuinely excited to see each other. Observing them conversing, the gym teacher, who was a friend of Lucy's, felt quite envious. Class, it was the moment for the lesson to commence. As soon as he stepped inside, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness because he had never instructed children previously. The message was that Kent was in the identical class where Ellie was present, who had consumed the contaminated chicken. In a short span, her condition deteriorated. Her entire body erupted in rashes, her eyes became bloodshot, and her body began to weaken. Observing her, all the children started to ridicule her, as they were oblivious to her condition. Just as one child approached from behind alongside her, the turkey skin also ended up in his hand, and he got very scared seeing it. Before this child could tell anyone about the chicken, Elude viciously attacked the child and bit his face. She then ran outside. The client managed with great difficulty to stop their fight, and Ali took the child who had been bitten to the medical room. Though Elika's behavior seemed so strange to him that he went and told Lucy about it. While they were talking, they saw Ellie again, who was sitting on the pitch in a strange manner, spreading her glass out and angrily moving towards her friend to attack. She was the first to launch an attack on him, and blood began to seep from his body, indicating that Ellie had transmitted the infection to him as well. This child also commenced exhibiting peculiar behavior akin to Ellie's. He advanced and began to assault the children playing in the vicinity, and before long all the children on the playground were infected. As a result of the infection, there were swift alterations in their behavior. They were all furiously charging at one another to bite, and when the teacher observed this, they emerged outside to intervene in the children's altercation. However, this too proved to be a formidable challenge. The teachers have already been attacked. The children had viciously started consuming the teacher's body parts. It was clear that these children had completely turned into zombies. Meanwhile, the gym teacher was so engrossed in playing football that he had no idea what was happening behind him. A massive fight was underway. The guard, sitting in his car, noticed the blood on the children's faces and informed the principal's office. When the principal came to control the children, one of the children attacked him as well, tearing him apart and consuming him. This was all happening in a staff room. The teachers had also noticed, after the principal's reprimand, it was as if these children had developed a craving for human flesh. All the children began knocking on the windows loudly so they could attack the other teachers and eat them. At times they were frightened, which is why they set off the emergency alarm. Upon hearing the emergency alarm, the gym teacher came to his senses. He saw that all the children were acting very strangely and were advancing to attack him. Moin tried to talk to the children who had turned into zombies, but they were in no mood to listen. They were no longer human. With great difficulty, he managed to escape from them. Upon reaching the staff room, a teacher attempts to contact the police, but they are oblivious to the fact that a child has infiltrated the principal's office and severed all the telephone lines. Nevertheless, the police somehow managed to become aware of their call. When the police eventually arrive, it instills a glimmer of hope in them. As soon as the officer endeavors to evaluate the school situation by extending his hand beyond the fence, the children who have turned into relentless insomniacs bite his fingers. He attempts to flee, but unfortunately doesn't survive as a transformed child, unexpectedly attacks him. He had already made himself comfortable and bitten the police officer on the ear. Observing all this, they were utterly taken aback. They exclaimed, "We cannot merely stand by and observe our own demise. We must take action." Another individual attempted to stop them, but without heeding anyone's advice, they proceeded to open the staff room door. Inside, a zombie had already taken shape and launched an attack on them. In an attempt to evade this child, they forcefully hurl the child away from themselves, who subsequently targets Clint. Before the child could sink his teeth into Clint mustered all his strength to shove him away. The child tumbled onto another teacher and ended up inside a cupboard. Seizing the opportunity, the gym teacher swiftly secured the cupboard. They were now in a state of shock, witnessing the tragic loss of a teacher who had been standing alongside them. Copy. As they observed, another teacher succumbed to panic and attempted to escape, and the moment they opened the door, those outside, the zombie children launched an assault on him as well. With considerable difficulty, these individuals managed to flee and make their way to the library, where they encounter another child. Initially terrified by this child, they soon come to the realization that he had been in the library throughout the day and, unlike the other children, he was not infected. He remained human. Consequently, they decide to take this child along with them as they continue their search for a secure location. Meanwhile, it is revealed that the zombie children have already opened all the doors leading from the ground floor into the building because they now need to feed on humans to satisfy their hunger. They need to eliminate it. The teachers hiding in the music class were planning their escape. The gym teachers suggested that they should take all the instruments with them, which would help them defend themselves against the children, reach their car, and escape from there. However, the client did not find this idea suitable. The client believed that it would put many lives at risk, as not everyone would be able to defend themselves properly. It would be better if they went to the principal's office, took their phones, and called someone for help. Both were debating their ideas. Meanwhile, it is shown that a song is being created in the principal's office. The children, unaware of this, run with their mobiles and tell everyone, "Listen to us.
We should wait for the children's parents to arrive. When they come here, we can ask them for help and save our lives." Everyone liked the guard here, who had locked himself inside room 1. From his video, we learned that not only in this school, but in all elementary schools in America, children have turned into little zombies, and this has happened. Due to the deceased chicken skin, the music class teacher was anxiously waiting for the holiday while outside. The children who had become zombies were playing with the body parts of their victims. Finally, the moment arrives that everyone was waiting for. As a parent arrives at the school to pick up their child, they all try to attract the parents' attention. They shout loudly, but the parent can't hear anything because they have earphones on and are engrossed in a conversation. So engrossed that they don't even realize their song is playing. Meanwhile, the son, sitting in the back seat of the car, has torn apart and eaten his brother, and then he attacks his mother as well. After witnessing everything with their own eyes, the teachers lost hope. As they attempted to enter the building, a girl or a teacher was grabbed by the leg. They were trying to free themselves when they realized that the girl was not infected. She hadn't turned into a zombie, so they rescued her as well. Before they could reach the building, the zombie children spotted them. They quickly pursued them to attack. As they climbed over the barricade, the children attempted to attack them, but somehow they managed to escape. They made it to the auditorium. They arrived. Sadly, a child who had become a zombie got into the room with them. Jim T. Jet used a fire extinguisher to hit its head repeatedly, killing it. Examining the body, the science teacher noted its blood was black and its brain had shrunk, showing they were no longer human and couldn't be treated to become human again. The science teacher added that these kids were turning into zombies due to a specific virus, which spreads rapidly. It spreads to others. If bitten or scratched, she says she doesn't believe it. Ellie, the first zombie, scratched Clint when leaving class. But see, Clint's been with us for hours and hasn't turned into a zombie. From this, they deduced that the virus only affects children, turning them into zombies. It doesn't affect adults. While discussing this, the zombie children were busy planning to capture them. In order to distract the school, they turn off the lights at the zombie school. Everyone panics and I faint while trying to save them. The science teacher explains that this child has diabetes and has fainted due to low glucose levels. To save his life, we need to get him something immediately. But no one had anything to eat at the moment. Suddenly, the door started to be knocked on as well. They were all terribly frightened. The person knocking on the door eventually broke it down. But fortunately for them, there was no storm this time. It was a teacher.
There was one who had not been infected yet. He also joined their group. However, his entry into the room also led to the creation of zombies. The children found out that everyone was in this room. All the children started heading towards this room while these people moved to the boiler room to save themselves. From the radio in the boiler room, they learned that an emergency had been declared throughout the city. All the children in the city had become infected and were attacking people, and as a result, no one could come to their aid. At this point, they were losing hope, but they hadn't given up. They had a child with them whose life needed saving. Clint suggested to everyone that he would go through the ventilation to the canteen and bring back something to eat for the child. They agreed to accompany him, and both of them started making their way towards the canteen through the ventilation. Upon reaching the canteen, Clint tried to get a biscuit from the vending machine, and as he was doing so, the noise from the vending machine attracted attention. Meanwhile, Lou had also reached the principal's office through the same ventilation duct. She wanted to quietly pick up a working phone there, but All the phones were broken, and due to the noise, the child who had become an exam also noticed her. Those children also followed them, entering the same ventilation duct. To escape them, they rolled forward as fast as they could. The client throws the biscuit taken from the vending machine into the boiler room so that the biscuit can be fed to the child to save his life. After that, they also became insomniac. Tired to distract the children, they enter another room through a ventilation pipe and then close many of the lower vents. At this time, along with Lucy and Clem, the educators present in the proprietor's room were extremely terrified. Nevertheless, delaying any further to preserve their lives seemed unwise. The confrontation appeared to be the sole resolution, for which they commenced preparations. Saint discovered some pharmaceuticals in the room, which the educators utilized to pacify the children. He tossed these pharmaceuticals towards the children through the ventilation duct, which they ingested and became somewhat calmer. Following this, Clint and Rosie rejoined the other educators, and they began to create weapons from the available materials they had at their disposal. They successfully managed to escape with their lives from the building, although the gym instructor had ingeniously crafted an unusual gun that launched tennis balls to ward off the children. With its assistance, they were able to get past numerous children. They were determined to succeed in getting out, but upon exiting, they encountered a surge of children who had become like monks. They did not surrender. They collaborated as a team, utilizing every small item they had at their disposal to handle the children in their path and reach their vehicle. It was a spacious vehicle in which everyone could comfortably sit. They were successful, but not the gym teacher, as she stayed behind to prevent the children, who had become like zombies, from reaching the vehicle. She handed Clint the car keys and instructed him to safely take all the teachers away. Tat managed to get quite far from the school building, but they were unaware of one thing. The exam child was still on their roof. Clint noticed that the car had run out of fuel. The vehicle came to a halt and the child on the roof attacked, forcing Clint to swerve the car in an attempt to save himself. Thus, the 50 had collapsed in front, yet still had not been addressed. To eliminate it, the client maneuvers their vehicle over it, which ultimately rescues them from this particular child. One issue was resolved, but they were unaware that the location they had arrived at posed an even greater challenge, as this area was a children's recreational ground, and now there were numerous zombie-like children trailing behind them. In an attempt to flee, they enter a structure. Regrettably for them, it was an indoor play area, where zombie-like children were poised to come and go. They were anxiously waiting to depart. They believed they were about to be killed, but then they observed some of the zombie-like children unexpectedly collapsing. In reality, someone had shot them, and it was none other than the GM teacher who, alongside another educator, had succeeded in reaching there after igniting the school with the zombie children inside. Witnessing them instilled courage in all the teachers, and they successfully managed to save their lives. They collaborated effectively as a team. They secured all the zombie children within their bouncy pit, and successfully managed to exit the building. They had set the entire structure ablaze along with the zombie-like children and had safely entered their vehicle. Their lives were safeguarded, and they comprehended that as long as they stayed together, they were not in danger. With this understanding, the narrative concludes at this point.